Onyame jeni katizenti Iluzie solunu akona bili Inata kwala Inakwazio kama yaneno wamono Okungwali boy katizenti Iluzie buluwa Onyame bezi na nigo wakade Okungwali boy katizenti Iluzie wolo na ngai Mwane mebe nebe Onyame bezi na nigo Ogazi amaka wajina gomo Ogazi amaka wajina Osili onyama Mkenkenyi tuli Ekeke na logika isagalo Ajia shagata namu Sadebeno Ajia sadebeno Hasadebe na yamu Hobia muze no chilimo Sadebeno Namo na Mwane bene Ojeligo bwevi nende Ojeligo bijuma mwane mebe na mwane mebezi na
Hello everybody. Once again, this is Fred Nwankwo coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on ALEN TV. And as usual, I'd like to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on where you are around the world. As you can see, this is going to be a very special episode of Bold Talk on ALEN TV. The reason this is special is threefold. First of all, it's our 99th edition in preparation for our 100th edition, which is going to bring in guests sitting here in a panel, and it's going to be youth from different countries in Africa giving their opinion about what's going on in Africa, what they can contribute, how they can help, and what they see are the problems we have in Africa. Our job is not going to be to lead them in either direction because I want our viewers to really see what the youth are thinking. The week after that, we already lined up our panel, and we're going to have a lawyer, a features trader, a scientist, and a real estate broker. And they too will be talking about their views about what's going on in Africa, but in that case, probably in particular, Nigeria relative to the last elections. But today, I'm very proud and honored to be introducing my grandson, Jonah Boachi. The reason I'm so honored to be doing this is that, believe it or not, Bold Talk on ALEN TV could easily have been delayed another year or 2 or 6 months if it wasn't for the coincidence on a given day in November 2021, sitting down in my office on a day that Jonah did not go to school. They had, I think it was Institute Day or whatever in school, so the kids were off. And I had set up a computer for him in my office where he could do his work. And he was sitting there doing his schoolwork while I was talking to my niece in Maryland, my niece Elo, about my need to set up Bold Talk on ALEN TV. But I had no idea the technology. I had no idea the softwares that are needed. I had no idea what cameras are needed, what mics, or all that stuff. And Elo, being a very busy person, said, "Uncle, we can do this, but give me till the weekend. I'm having a very busy week." I didn't know that Jonah was listening to our conversation. And from the background, Jonah is going, Grandpa, I could do that. And I'm hushing him up and saying, listen, I'm on the phone, be quiet. But when I hung up from Elo, prior to Bold Talk on ALEN TV, I had a series, even though it wasn't regular, that I called Let's Talk Money. And I wanted to migrate my Let's Talk Money videos to Bold Talk on ALEN TV. And I didn't know how to do that. So I called the Indian guy who was the producer of Let's Talk Money. I paid him to do that. And I said, could you migrate those things for me to my new channel? And he said he could do it, but not right away. It may take a week. It may take 2 weeks. And when I hung up from him, my grandson comes over and said, Grandpa, give me that mouse. We can do this. And he goes on, and in 3 minutes or 5 minutes, my Let's Talk Money videos had been migrated to Bold Talk on ALEN TV. Starting right there, I realized that the young man knew what he was talking about. Maybe it's time to give him a listen. So he went on, established Bold Talk on ALEN TV on YouTube. We sat down, looked at the backgrounds, did a few things. He said, Grandpa, that background is ugly. Nobody is going to watch that. We need to do better than this. He goes on to Google, goes on to a site that had all kinds of studio backgrounds, says, okay, Grandpa, bring your credit card. Let's order what we need. It's annually renewable. Boom. Make a long story short, Bold Talk on ALEN TV was born. And more or less talking to my grandson, not as grandpa, but as my producer. And I'd like Jonah to share with you how grandparents or parents can collaborate with young people. And I'll also talk about how grandparents and parents, especially the ones that migrated from Africa, where authority is from up down, how we can adapt and adjust and understand that the kids we think are kids really have a lot they can teach us. And us as the parents and grandparents also have a lot of values and discipline we can teach them. And if we bring these kids closer to us and open up to them, because when I'm working with my 13-year-old grandson, who started these things with me when he was 11, even at 11 years old, after I realized what he could do, I wasn't working with him as my 11-year-old grandson. I was working with him as my partner and my producer. So, Jonah, have I related these stories correctly? Is there something I exaggerated? Is it how it happened? Just say things, what you think about Bold Talk on ALEN TV.
So, in the beginning of all this stuff, well, first of all, I think Bold Talk on ALEN TV I think we built a good channel, and we're almost about to get 1,000 subscribers, so that has more to do, and we're about to have our 100th episode, so that's good. So, but in the beginning, when we first started this stuff, I knew a little bit, like, on how to build it up, but we still, like, I learned a lot more stuff than I knew at the beginning of all this stuff, but now it's like, I don't know how to say it. We just have a lot of videos uploaded. We have a lot of stuff done, so.
So yeah. In other words, even when you were teaching me, you were learning too. Tell them how I drove you crazy, Jonah, and you got to talk loud.
So, how it drove me crazy, I guess, is, like, I started, like, I wasn't getting frustrated, but it was, like, because I was going, like, teaching stuff fast while he was still writing down something that I did like a minute ago. It was kind of bad. And then, so to solve it. Was it
bad or was it frustrating?
It was frustrating. To solve it, I taught him like how to do like almost everything. So now he edits the videos himself, and when there is something that he needs help on, he calls me to help him with it.
Actually, the point here is that from when we started till 3 months ago, if Jonah decided he didn't want to work with me anymore, there wouldn't have been any Bull Talk on ALEN TV, because all I did from the beginning till 3 months ago was sit down, record, and he edits. I sit down with him to edit, then we upload it. And as he got older, he's now 13, he developed other interests. There are a lot of things he's involved in at school. So when I call him to do these things, he feels like I'm interrupting him and all that. As a good grandpa, I knew I was interrupting him, and I knew I had to find a way to do this without being in his school way. So I started slowing him down to take notes. I started taking notes. And the first 3 editions that I did myself, I had to wait for him to come back and fix a few things. But to make a long story short, as we speak right now, over the last 2.5 months, I do the production, I do the editing, I do the sound effects, I do the special effects. From A to Z, I do the whole work. But I'm not going to say it in a bragging way, because without the foundation I got from him, none of that would have been possible. And I'm glad now that he too is learning that even the things he was doing very well, that some of them he was doing like a 13-year-old kid. And I will come back behind him and tell him, even though I don't know how to do this, but there are tools in there that can do it. So I want you to show me those tools. So we could take what he produced and with me as the director, make it even a better product. Make a long story short, we need to work with our kids, not as grandpa throwing laws down to the grandkid or parents throwing laws down, but as collaborators. There's a lot we can learn from them. There's a lot they could learn from us. When we put those things together and they meet in a very congenial way, there is very little we cannot do together. And is there something you want to add? I'm sure there. Tell them about when I fired you. I did fire him.
Oh, so I think I don't remember that well, but I think I got fired is because I was getting mad. Like I think I was getting mad that he wasn't like understanding or remembering how to do the stuff as fast, and he wasn't writing it down. Like every time I came back, I had to tell him how to do something that I already taught him, but he didn't write it down. So.
Which, guys, that's what I wanted to hear from him, and he's perfectly right. I'm 65 years old. It's my grandson, for crying out loud. Probably if I was dealing in a classroom with a professor, I would have been more prepared. So there are certain things he'll come and teach and I wouldn't take the notes, and the next day I call him to do it. And so I told him, I said, you know what, I've had enough of this. By then I already picked up enough and he was fired. But he wasn't fired completely, because the reality is, fired or not fired, every time there is some tweaking that needs to be done, we still have to rely on Jonah. He still has to come out, show me what's not going quite right. And he still gets paid on the side, but not the original every week money he was getting. But are you happy?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm willing to pay him much more, because what he did to bring Bold Talk to where it is something that is, to me, priceless. And I just thought I had to share this experience with Jonah with you guys. Jonah, thank you very much. Grandpa really appreciates you. And one of these days, I'd like you to bring your fellow teenagers in, sit around here and have a production that we could share and it will be something beneficial to the viewers. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Folks, that was really special to me. Working with my grandson really got me to understand that the young people we call kids can actually be much more than kids if we engage them at their own level. Minutes before my grandson got involved in what I do, he was my grandson and a little kid. Minutes later, when I discovered all this talent he had and how much he could enrich our program, he literally became a friend of mine and a partner of mine. So I mean, an 11-year-old kid became a bosom buddy of a 63-year-old man. And literally, that's exactly what happened. I intentionally brought this edition to you today as a conclusion to a strictly solo format and introducing, starting in a week, the next edition, guests being in the studio and changing the format and making it more of a freewheeling but still focused discussion session. And how could I go there without telling you the story about how all this started? And if you noticed at the beginning, I was more or less paying tribute to the people who have made it possible for this show to go on this far, and for me to have an even bigger vision of the show. The people you saw, their pictures or their names at the beginning, are my sponsors that make it possible for us to be on air, and my behind the scenes supporters whose encouragement actually made it possible for me to even go on air. And there are so many of them that it couldn't fit into a page and readable, but I'll also like to use this opportunity to say a huge thank you to the people who subscribe to the magazine, ALEN magazine. ALEN magazine is still a big part of what we do, but we're just trying to kickstart the Bold Talk on ALEN TV and then make it more or less the engine from which we're going to drive the magazine. And everybody who subscribed to the magazine gets Bold Talk on ALEN TV, but we're also assuring them that as soon as the magazine picks up again and we have more subscribers to be able to keep it going, they're going to get their full subscriptions of the magazine. Bold Talk on ALEN TV is something that I'm really very proud of. And the only way that it happens is because of people like you. I'd like to end on the note asking you to please share our episodes when they come out, like our episodes when they come out, and most importantly, subscribe to our episodes so when they come out, the notification comes to you instantly. And if you think you liked what we did in the past, you haven't seen anything yet. When we come up with these in-house guests, you're really going to see the topics that we're going to be bringing to you are things that enrich our African community in the United States. Every one of you is the wind beneath my wings. I appreciate you very much. And until next time, I want to say good night, God bless, and thank you very much.
ẹ ṣí biribiri kẹ́bọ̀ mi o. Iwájú lọ́lọ́kọ̀ mi wà mí lọ. Lẹ́yìn lọ́lọ́kọ̀ mi wà mí lọ. Mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀ yé o. Mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀ yé o. Mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀ yé o. Mi ò mọ̀. Ẹ ṣí biribiri kẹ́bọ̀ mi o. Iwájú lọ́lọ́kọ̀ yín wà mí lọ. Bẹ́yìn lọ́lọ́kọ̀ yín wà mí lọ. Mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀ yé o. Mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀ yé o. Àní wọ́n ní wọ́n fẹ́ bàtẹ̀yẹ lékelèké jẹ́. Wọ́n lọ kí ẹ̀bẹ̀ fún o. Kàkà kí tẹyẹ lékelèké bàjẹ́ ṣe ló tún dára sí i. Ẹ ṣí biribiri kẹ́bọ̀ mi o. Iwájú lọ́lọ́kọ̀ yín wà mí lọ. Bẹ́yìn lọ́lọ́kọ̀ mi wà mí lọ. Mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀ yé o. Mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀ yé o. Mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀ yé o. Mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀, mi ò mọ̀. Wọ́n ní kí n má ṣu sépo mo ṣu sépo wọn ò bá mi wí rárá. Wọ́n ní kí n má tọ́ sálà mo tọ́ sálà wọn ò bá mi wí rárá. Wọ́n ní kí n má fi ìkódẹnu dí mo fi nù dí wọn ò bá mi wí rárá. Àkéké ló ní kan má torí mi dé, àjà ló ní kan má torí mi jà. Ẹ ṣí biribiri kẹ́bọ̀ mi o. Iwájú lọ́lọ́kọ̀ yín wà mí lọ. Bẹ́yìn lọ́lọ́kọ̀ mi wà